too late.
What? Hey, are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. What the fuck? Tell us about it.
So he gets a Grammy and then he gets arrested shortly afterwards. You know, I got to be honest with you guys before you start this video. Killer Mike getting arrested for what is supposedly battery. And don't worry, I'll leave the video in the description box because if I play it here, I'm probably going to copyright claim because of TMZ's scheme or their copyright ordeal, because TMZ is pretty bad about it. So that's the reason why I'm not playing it here. But it's obviously got some people wondering exactly what Killer Mike did to bring this on. But then again, at the same time, if you actually watch the video, you're probably going to think it's BS. I watched it about 2 hours ago, and let's just say that not exactly much of a case for battery, if you ask me, but still, I'm going to link it in the description box. Now, you guys obviously saw the thumbnail, and you're probably thinking to yourself, we're going to be talking a lot about Killer Mike. Well, we're going to be talking somewhat about Killer Mike, but the guy who's in the background, Mr. Bill Maher, is the one we're going to be talking the most about. Now, guys, I've done a lot of videos on Bill Maher, a lot of videos explaining how it is that Bill Maher, of course, is for the most part not exactly, how do I say, your friend. How it is that he may complain about the wokes, he may complain about the social justice warrior left, but in reality, he kind of helped create it. Now, I'm not going to be going through every single incident, but of course, there was this interview that he did recently on his own podcast with Patrick Bet-David, which let's just put it this way here, if it doesn't scream TDS by now, then I don't think anything else will. However, I think this interview that he did, this little bit that he did with Killer Mike, I think this where it kind of exposes a lot more than you think. Of course, when I say that, I mean that Bill Maher, for the most part, is state media. Don't worry, I'll be explaining that over the course of this video, but this video here will be the only video being released on Tuesday. Some things have happened with my other video, and I know I said I was going to pump up the content until next Thursday, but it is what it is. Situations kind of change, so there'll probably be 2 to 3 videos out on Wednesday. But still, though, let's go ahead and dive into this. So here's the deal. Bill Maher the other night had a conversation with Killer Mike. I talked about that temporarily a little bit in the previous video that I did. I'll link in the description box. Of course, it was about 50 Cent and his response to what's going on in New York City with the $53 million in prepaid credit cards that are being given to the migrants after Eric Adams then says that the migrants need to go, but yet he continues to give them stuff. The thing is this right here. Obviously, a certain voter base is not exactly happy with the current regime. Now, I'm going to play the first half of this, but I want you guys to pay very close attention to Bill Maher's actual body language and exactly what he asked Killer Mike before they really and truly get into it. Let's go ahead and roll.
What are your feelings on the election coming up? I mean, Biden and Trump, are you as depressed about that as most people, as a choice?
My feeling is pick your policy, not your person. Find out. This is not the Dallas Cowboys versus your favorite team. This is the policies that will affect our generations for the next 20, 30, 40 years to come. So close your eyes, listen to the policies that are being pushed, and pay attention even to the people who don't have a chance of winning, because they're going to say policies you may want to push. And I would say do that, but make it policy based.
So that means you're for.
That means I'm for black people and happy Black History Month.
But you're not saying one candidate over the other?
Hey man, my nigga, you ain't gonna get me.
Now guys, I put a header over Killer Mike. The reason why I put a header over Killer Mike is because of HBO's copyright, but I'm pretty sure you guys could obviously get enough of Bill Maher's body language to kind of see exactly how he looks. Bill Maher, regardless of what he may say about the woke left, what he may say about the radical left, he's still very much in their camp. The reason why I say this is because of the next thing that you're about to see. You see, everybody in this country has got the right to vote the way they want to vote, and 2024 is going to be an election. And of course, most of you guys who watch my content already know I'm going to vote. But still, at the same time, everybody's got a right to vote for who they want to vote for. I just ask that you seriously consider before you vote for the same thing that's going on now. However, in 2024, we're expecting a bit of a, let's just say, a spread. And what I mean by a spread is a spread in the actual vote itself. You see, you've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. going out there. He's running for president. And you've also got Cornel West, who's probably going to attract a lot of black voters. And, of course, you've got Jill Stein, who's going to attract probably a lot of left-leaning, let's just say progressives, and probably going to attract a lot of environmental types. Okay? So Bill Maher, of course, is going to continue to shield for the current administration. He's going to continue to shield for Joe Biden, even though he's complained about Joe Biden ever since Joe Biden has been in office. Same thing with Sam Harris, too. But we'll probably talk about him at a later date. But here's the thing I want you guys to pay very close attention to. Now, there is going to be a header over Killer Mike, but I'm going to cut the header off when you get to the very, very end, especially when Maher asks him that very, very key question. And of course, we're doing this to kind of set things up for the Patrick Bet David section of this video, so that way you guys can kind of see that at the end of the day, Bill Maher is still very, very much good old-fashioned state media. Let's roll this.
No trouble tonight.
No, that's your job with me, to get me in trouble.
My grandfather gave me some stellar advice sometimes. He said, son, sometimes you just got to know to stay out of white folks' business. And this time, I'm going to keep my mouth closed. I still like the policy that the old man had that I was supporting. I would encourage people to find who's supporting that policy and see what happens.
But you can't get yourself to say vote for Biden over Trump?
You want me to list it now? So now
I'm just saying that.
Can he get himself to apologize for the crime bill? Can he get himself to get his head out of his ass and say, black people, you are black regardless. I need you to tell me what I need to do. Can he pick a coalition of former people who are affected by drug laws, street gangs, recidivism and crime, and say, I need you as a board to advise me how to fix federal prisons? If he can do that, absolutely I can. So my challenge is out there.
All right.
I understand why black voters are upset about the crime bill. An entire generation of black men were locked up, but still at the same time, the First Step Act that Trump signed, and of course, I'm a Trump voter, and I'm telling you right now, but I got my own criticism for him too. The First Step Act wasn't any better. He actually let a lot of people go, some people who deserve probably to be let go, some people who were reformed, but then again, there were also a lot of people who probably should not have been let out. So it's kind of a kneel on that one is what I would say. But still, though, the crime bill is obviously something that a lot of people are not okay with. By the way, when people think of the crime bill, they think about Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. But the truth be told is this right here. It was actually Joe Biden who pushed the crime bill and the AR-15 ban back in 1994. He's also the one who pushed the crime bill back in 1991. I'll leave some stuff in the description box for you guys on that one. But it seems to me like black voters are starting to wake up. And of course, some people automatically assess that this right here is the reason why it is that Killer Mike was locked up, when I personally don't think that was the case. I think that it was just some BS is what happened, and that right there is why he got locked up. Still, though, to be locked up after the Grammys or the day of the Grammys is still kind of screwed up. But let's get back to Bill. Now, if you pay very close attention to his body language, he's pretty much saying the exact same thing, and of course the previous one where he basically said, you're not going to get me in trouble, that right there is a solid indication that Killer Mike's not exactly on board with the current president. Of course, black voters typically tend to vote Democrat at an extremely high clip. However, Biden's not doing very well with that group of voters. Of course, it's believed that Biden will probably not even eclipse 80%. As a matter of fact, I don't think he will either. I think that Trump is probably going to get right around 18%, especially when you factor in black males, the lower turnout. And then when you look at the other candidates, I think that Biden could find himself getting less than 75% of the black vote altogether. Democratic Party needs the black vote to actually win. Republicans, really, to tell you the truth, don't actually need it. If you actually go back in history, if they've gotten roughly right around 2 to 3% of the black vote, they typically tend to be okay. What Republican voters need is for black voters just to simply stay home. And of course, the Democratic Party is going to go after black female voters very, very hard. But if they don't have black males, it obviously lessens the strength of that voter base to get them over. That's one of the main reasons why it is that you're probably going to see the pandering effort increase. Now, we've talked about the migrant crisis, and I've told you exactly what the hell was going on with said migrant crisis, that what they're really doing is replacing a dwindling voter bloc. Don't worry, we'll talk about that in later videos, but just know that when you have the highest abortion rate of any race in the country, when you have the highest crime and murder rate of any race in the country, and the highest disease rate of any race in the country, chances are they're probably going to start looking for brand new voters, hence the reason why it is they're bringing in so many migrants. But we'll talk more about it in another video. But then you get to Patrick Bet David. Patrick Bet David, and he's kind of won me over, especially over the past couple of years, his podcast. He, for the most part, tries to focus in on results. He tries to focus in on what's going on at the time. Now, of course, he does have some liberal leanings to a certain degree, or more moderate leanings. Like, for example, he's not exactly pro-2A or the most pro-2A guy in the world, which I got a serious disagreement with. but his economical foreign policy takes typically tend to be very good. And of course, he's pretty well based when it comes to those areas, especially when it comes to the culture, where he's becoming more and more based. So he goes on Bill Maher, and of course, you basically get the good old-fashioned state media line. First, with the vaccines. Let's roll this.
Because it's a lot of force, and we know what's right for you, and you don't. There is no reason on the left.
Oh, sweetheart, you are preaching to the converted here. I'm always bitching about this. I do not.
You're supporting Biden, though.
Of course, because we only get two choices. I mean, what is so hard to understand about bad and worse?
They forced America to take the vaccine, Bill. 70% Americans took the vaccine and they didn't want to take it. A lot of them didn't want to take it.
Wait a second. When did the vaccine come about? Under Biden? No, under Trump.
No, it didn't. It came 2 days after election was over with. 2 days after election was over with, Pfizer announced it was not under Trump.
Oh.
They intentionally kept the vaccine
You're right.
after the election, so they gave the victory
Now, guys,
to...
really quick. I was not a fan of the whole poke thing, okay? I just was not a fan of those vaccines. I never actually took it. But let's just go ahead and be realistic. That was during Operation Warp Speed in 2020. Now, Trump actually got booed at a rally by his supporters over bringing up the vaccine. I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but he hasn't really been talking that much about it since he's been on the campaign trail. Probably because it's not a popular topic. Now, like I said before, I didn't get it. Quite frankly, I didn't want to get it and probably won't ever get it. Okay, the reason why is because for the most part, it's experimental. But here's the thing. The vaccine was released, or let's just say that it was actually being issued out starting on December the 14th. I remember the date very well because Trump, of course, gave a press conference. So technically, the vaccine was a product of the Trump administration, not the Biden administration. But here's the thing that people oftentimes forget, and I need to say this before we go any further. When it comes to the poke, as I like to call it here, some voters tend to think that Trump is actually, it's a very, very weird thing. Liberal voters think that Biden created, conservative voters go after Trump over making it, but still at the same time, as I said before, it was actually December the 14th when it came out. The thing that's so strange about this particular situation is that Trump voters act like Trump forced them to take it. That wasn't Trump who forced them to take it. That was actually Joe Biden who signed an executive order saying you could not have a job without taking the poke. And of course, it eventually got to the Supreme Court and it got struck down. I just figured I would go ahead and say that before we go any further. Let's listen to a little bit more.
How do you feel about Newsom?
Had him on my show Friday.
I saw that.
And I first of all, I love him. You just like a guy or you don't. I've known him for a long time. He's done my show for a long time. Do I love everything he does as the governor of California? No, I don't. I wouldn't say I'm undertaxed. I have issues with this state. He's a guy. One reason I want him to run for president, is because he's obviously a winner. This guy could fucking do it. It's insane that we have the guy, but we can't run him because we have to tiptoe around Biden and
define a winner.
Well, he would win the election.
Oh, so
he would win the election.
So he's a talented debater, speaker, communicator, deflector,
and politician, and he's a smart guy. He's a smart, real guy with a pair of balls. Do I love everything? No, you never do with a politician.
Now, really quick. The reason why Patrick Bet-David is asking Bill about Gavin Newsom is because Gavin Newsom has been rumored to be replacing Joe Biden. I've done videos on this before. I don't see it happening, but at the same time, though, I also think it's possible, but more than likely, it's not going to happen. People are up in arms. I think it was Tommy Lahren, a few others, even Jeremy, D-Day Cobra. They are concerned that Gavin Newsom will be the nominee. And of course, they think that Gavin Newsom would just be kind of like rigged in. But I'm here to tell you right now that Gavin Newsom stands absolutely no chance at winning the presidential election. No chance at all. Bill Maher spends every day complaining about the Biden administration. He spends every day complaining about the wokes. And as you guys can obviously see, the cognitive dissonance in him for supporting former President Trump or even voting Republican is pretty much non-existent. And I want to go ahead and say this before I go any further. Typically, when a liberal tells you, and Bill Maher has even done this, where he has said that maybe you guys should choose a different candidate besides Donald Trump, they are trying to tell you that they want to see a different candidate run because they believe said candidate's probably weaker. Truth be told, Trump has got a much, much larger base. He's already got 40% of the vote already built in. So you can just go ahead and count on these people not exactly being okay with facing him. Not to mention the fact that they keep trying to indict the guy, even though the indictments are falling apart. It's pretty obvious at this point in time this is the guy that they don't want to face, because obviously you would not want to lock up your competition if you did not want to face them, even though obviously trying to lock them up obviously is the only thing it's going to do is improve their chances of actually winning, which is probably one of the main reasons why it is that Killer Mike may be considering somebody besides Joe Biden. Also, the crime bill, all that type of stuff there. But of course, you guys can obviously see, once you start indicting your opponent, you begin to empathize more with said person who's being indicted, especially if you were black. Just talk about the mindset. Bill Maher obviously does not get this. He's obviously out of touch. He lives on the coast. And of course, he thinks that Newsom is the guy to actually do it. But speaking of Newsom, California is an absolute crap hole. And not only is it a crap hole, but the crime is obviously through the roof. The insurance rates are through the roof. As a matter of fact, California is moving to Florida, has increased the insurance rates in that state there. And recently, Gavin Newsom's policies, his weak on crime policies, were definitely something that were, let's just say, a point of focus here recently. Pay attention.
Checking out, the woman says, "Oh, he's just walking out. He didn't pay for that." I said, "Well, why are you stopping him?" She goes, "Oh, the governor." Swear to God, true story. And my mom's great. The governor lowered the threshold. There's no accountability. I said, that's just not true. And I said, we have the 10th toughest, $950, the 10th toughest in America. She doesn't even know what I was talking about. By the way, it's the 10th toughest in America. Look it up. No one gives a damn about that. And I said, it's just not true. There's still stop. They said, well, we don't stop them because of the governor. And then she looks at me twice, and then she freaks out. She calls everyone over, wants to take photos. I'm like, no, I'm not taking a photo. We're having a conversation. Where's your manager? How are you blaming the governor? And it was, $380 later. And I was like, why am I spending $380? Everyone can walk the hell right out.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but if I had ran into Gavin Newsom as a Californian and I was talking to him, even if I did not realize it was him and then I realized it was him, I would not want a picture with that guy. Unless maybe, of course, it was designed to clown him. I mean, the guy really and truly is crap. I mean, also something else, too, and you're going to hear this again about the debate. Newsom is not the strong debater we think he is. He actually lost to DeSantis in his Fox News debate with Sean Hannity. It was pretty well consensus that he actually got destroyed in that debate. I'll link it in the description box, and you guys can actually see for yourself. The thing is this right here. Fox News and conservative media, even liberal media like MSNBC and CNN, they've kind of conditioned the audience to not be okay with anybody from California being their party's nominee. The reason why is because when you got literal crap on the street and the entire country knows that there's crap on the street, that there being human feces, chances are nobody's going to want to vote for you. But let's listen to a little bit more of this guy run his mouth about this.
If he ran for president, it'd be great because it would force him to move to the center. Now you're running not just in California. I mean, this is California. It's weirdo.
Are you a results-driven guy?
No, I like to think, watch things fall apart.
I mean,
of course
you wouldn't build a show that you build and win at the levels you won, for decades if you weren't results-driven, right? I mean, you're Bill Maher.
What do you mean? Well, what's the point about results?
That's exactly where I'm going with you. So results-driven guy.
Right.
What areas has Newsom won in? You said he's a winner.
Winner of the election. He could win the election.
But based on what, though? Do you want results? Like, what has he done to California to say he's a winner?
Oh, God. I don't know. It's too...
Bill, you're a smart guy.
You know what? He made it rain, okay, dude? It wasn't raining.
Someone you said that. He said, great job.
It wasn't raining, and now it's raining.
It's the belief that the party will change, but that's not the case. Truth be told is the party is exactly what Bill wanted it to be. Bill, of course, is an atheist. I'm not trying to beat up on anybody who doesn't believe in God. I'm not doing that at all. But Bill has always been the very liberal atheist type. He's always taken the left on every single issue. He's always taken, even in some cases, the progressive angles. I think what happened was that when Bill Maher was almost canceled, when the progressive left went after him, that right there is when Bill Maher started calling it out. If that right there is the case, then that does not mean that he actually cares about the country going forward. It just means that he does not want to be bothered. Him fighting back against these people may sound good on paper, but at the end of the day, he's always going to side with them over you. So stop thinking for 2 seconds that he's your friend. He's not your friend. He's not Killer Mike's friend, okay? He's not black voters' friends. He's not white voters' friends. He is a friend to the left. Okay, he's just been going after the progressives because they constantly roast him in the comment section of his tweets. That's the only reason why. The people that he created, he obviously pissed off. And bear in mind, he did in fact create these people. I mean, it's been an ongoing process, but Bill Maher is largely responsible for what we are seeing today in our culture. Just figure out to point that out. Bill just does not want to admit that Gavin is terrible. Now, there's one thing I forgot to mention in the previous section. If you think that Gavin Newsom will govern to the center if he was president, which of course he'll never be president, but if you think that he would govern to the center, I've got a bridge in Kansas to say. It's not going to happen. He's going to govern more and more and more to the left because whatever the way the wind blows is where he's going to go. Here's the thing. Gavin Newsom was married to Kimberly Guilfoyle, who is currently engaged to Donald Trump's son, Don Jr. Kimberly Guilfoyle gave an interview with Tim Cass IRL a long time ago. I'll try to link it in the description box where she talked about the fact that, let me just put it this way here. She talked about the fact that when Gavin Newsom was the lieutenant governor of California, remember, she was married to him at the time, she said that he was never really and truly that far left. For the most part, he was a conservative to moderate Democrat. It just so happened to be that progressives picketed outside and protested in front of their homes. So eventually, when he did become the governor of California, he eventually took it too far, as in far left. That's the truth about Gavin Newsom. And of course, if you've seen the China situation where he's meeting with Xi, you might think something may be on the horizon. However, I don't see it coming in 2024. But if it does, I feel like he would get absolutely destroyed, especially given the fact that the entire country already knows exactly how bad he is. Let's watch this last bit.
I actually live with my delicate wife, Sue, and our 8 homeschooled children. We just had twins, Sean and Hannity. Don't believe everything you see on TV.
So then what this does to me, this actually makes it easier for me to not even have to have this discussion and just move on to other things we can talk about, is you base your character on your candidate. You base your candidate based on being a good debater, deflecting, not necessarily results. Because
no, I don't.
If that's how you do it, then
Shut up.
Newsom is fantastic,
This is
Bill.
stupid. You're better than this.
Really?
I hope so. I don't know. I'm just getting to
when
know
I
you,
asked
but
you a question,
I
I said-
told you are. I
said-
mean, it's a silly argument, a debater. You know, like I can't tell. I've been doing political commentary on television for 30 years. I think I can tell when a guy is just debating or whether make a calculated guess on how he's going to be actually as president. There's two different things, running and being the guy. Do I like it that Newsom is good at the running part? I do, because that means he can get elected. Do I also think that if he got elected, he would be a good president? I do. Generally moving the country in the right direction.
Remember, folks, Bill Maher wanted a recession back in 2020 to get rid of Donald Trump. He was upset after the first impeachment because it made Trump stronger. I mean, it obviously did, because you went from 62.9 million votes to 74.2 million votes, even though he's no longer in office. Fact of the matter is, Bill Maher is not your friend. At the end of the day, he's always going to carry the Democratic Party line, even if he does not care for the current nominee, and he will eventually support the eventual nominee, or the current nominee, regardless how bad it is. I don't know if it's somebody who thinks that the party can fix itself, but I don't think that right there is going to happen. I think the party is going to continue to go further and further and further to the left, and eventually, as a result, this is eventually going to fall off. Trust me, the culture is beginning to change. And this right here is the main reason why it is that black voters in particular are, for the most part, saying to hell with this. They're not okay with the LGBTQ agenda. They're not okay with this crap. They're not okay with the agenda that's being pushed on the kids. They're starting to wake up to what exactly has happened. And, of course, they don't exactly like the current nominee. And, of course, if Gavin Newsom was slid in there, it would actually alienate black voters more because you would be bypassing Kamala Harris, who, by the way, isn't really black. She's half Indian, half Jamaican. And, of course, the Democratic Party has put this extremely heavy emphasis on black women voters. Not exactly a good situation these people were in, and once again, it's another reason why it is that they're losing black voters. Of course, there are some people out there who thinks because Killer Mike decided he wanted to basically go against the party line and not endorse Joe Biden right away. Some people have automatically kind of gotten it in their minds that maybe it was the state going after him. I don't think that was the case at all. I don't think that was exactly what happened here. I think that he just got busted on a bullcrap charge is what it was. But still, though, at the same time, now you guys can see, and of course, Bill Maher, to a certain degree, is in fact being rejected. You got to remember something else too about Bill Maher. Bill Maher's audience is predominantly on the left. Okay, it is predominantly on the left right now. It's always been that way. And of course, he's probably not going to change. So anybody who thinks that Bill Maher is going to change and that he's your friend, I'm sorry, he's just not your friend. He's not going to change. And of course, he's going to continue to side with the people who he claims to dislike 100% of the time over anything you have to say. Fact of the matter is, Bill Maher's gone. He's not coming back. It's pretty obvious at this point in time that he's just good old-fashioned state media. With that right there being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and halt this video now. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section. I'm probably going to double things up on Wednesday, but don't worry. We'll just go back to the plan. Things, of course, just happen, but we'll be back on that day as well. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sound off in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys got to say. I'll see you guys later.